This video is sponsored by Nickelodeon.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been our favorite heroes in a half shell for the past 3.5 decades, and the Bodacious brothers are back again with the brand new Nickelodeon series, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Rise is unlike anything we've ever seen before with the Ninja Turtles, but shining through that new, brightly colored coat of paint are some familiar aspects of past Turtle outings. Working with Nickelodeon, we've picked out some primo references that all Turtle fans, old and new, will appreciate. I'm Arielle, also known as R2 Ninja Turtle with Channel Frederator, and today we're looking at the lineup of currently aired Rise of the TMNT episodes and pointing out some of the many Easter eggs you might have missed. Turtle lore. Starting out, why don't we look for hints for turtle lore from the not-so-distant past? The first callback you might spot while watching the two-part premiere episode of Rise are the weapons. Now, you may have noticed in the promotional art and previews of the series that the boys' weapons have been replaced. Whether they're a little more technologically advanced, like Donnie's high-tech bow staff, more mystical, like Leo's Odachi sword, or a perfect complement to their personalities, like Raph's bruise-bringing tonfas and Mikey's flashy Kusari Fundo. The Turtles may have a new arsenal, but the old weapons are still around. In the two-part premiere, Mystic Mayhem, you'll notice that the brothers from the beginning are fighting with their classic weapons. It's when they find Baron Draxum's weapons stash that they decide to upgrade to some shiny new instruments of pain. Speaking of, anybody notice April's new weapon? Across the Turtleverse, we've seen April span the entire character spectrum. She's been a damsel in distress, and she's been a ninja herself, depending where you look. In the last Ninja Turtles series, April learned how to use a fan, or a Tessin as her choice of weapon. But interestingly, Rise's April seems to be more resourceful with her weapons. She's the type of person who will use whatever's handy as long as she can beat baddies over the head with it, like this whack-a-mole mallet, this golf club looking thing, a baseball bat. Seem familiar? Sounds like she's been spending a lot of time with Casey Jones. Hopefully, Casey Jones will eventually find his way into the Turtles mix again. The creators are certainly open to it. In the meantime, with no Casey around, who will be April's love interest? Hey, it's 2018, maybe she'll fall in love with one of the Turtles. Or not. Who needs romance when you can kick butt all on your own, mutant turtle or not? One more small tidbit when it comes to the topic of lore. In the episode Origami Tsunami, Leonardo suggests that the first thing that they do as heroes is to solve the city's rat problem. Well, practically in every take on the Turtles' stories, their first major citywide heroic act is usually stopping the Mousers, little lethal robots designed to violently end the city's rat problem, which end up hunting down the Turtles and their master Splinter, who is a rat. The Mousers always appear in the first handful of episodes, usually around issue or episode 2 or 3. So it's funny that Leo would suggest this on episode 2, almost as a tease, only to send their story off in a more unexpected direction. Callbacks to the 80s. What's a reboot without references to the previous shows? With TMNT, you will find that normally these callbacks take us to the simpler times of the 1980s, specifically 1987 when the original cartoon premiered on TV, and the Turtles' popularity was starting to surge. Of course we can't ignore the theme song. Nickelodeon has acknowledged that the 80s show had an unbeatable theme song. The 2012 series paid homage to the original tune, and so does Rise, as it opens up with the all-too-familiar lyrics and melody. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, using the half shell. Same concept, but a bit more modernized. While we're on the theme song, listen for it while watching the show as well. It always seems to chime in when you least expect it. For example, in Mascot Melee, Donnie whistles as the Turtle Tank store closes, and it's very clearly the old jingle. Also in Mascot Melee, the whole premise of the episode is for the brothers to make enough money to buy their father, Master Splinter, a new robe, since his old one has become very worn and disgusting. Interestingly, that old, worn-out robe is the same color as Splinter's robe from the original series. Master Splinter rocked that dark pink color back in the day, and he just can't seem to let go of the past. Neither can we, Master Splinter. Neither can we. Also in Mascot Melee, this episode is a goldmine of references. Littered all over the ep is a gif of an in-show meme called Turtlepotamus. The meme is a turtle's face pasted onto a hippopotamus while it poops cookies. And the turtle's face is actually Raphael's. Specifically 80s Raphael. You know, the one you see plastered all over retro merch. By the way, what is this fascination with Raph as a hippo on this show? Is it an inside joke? A running gag? I don't get it. Another running gag on this show is a giant drilling machine Donatello seems to be working on, but isn't showing his brothers because it's in beta. This drill is another blast from the past. If it feels like deja vu seeing a giant cone-shaped drill digging its way up to the street in front of the Turtles, it's because you've seen Shredder, Roxanne, Rocksteady and Bebop back in the 80s cartoon drive a giant drill just like this one called the Transport Module. They used it to drive up to the surface from the Technodrome when it was underground. I wonder if the Turtles will ever get to use one for themselves. Get on that, Donnie. Callbacks to past movies. The Turtles weren't just TV stars. Rise of the TMNT pays homage fairly often to the live-action films of 2014 and 2016 from producer Michael Bay. First thing to note are the character designs. It's not hard to tell that someone over on the new team liked the more accessorized and complicated looks for each of the boys. Gradually, at a Turtles pace, the Turtles' designs have changed over the years with more individuality in mind. They all started out with red masks, looking completely identical, only distinguishable by their weapons and personalities. They've evolved from different masks, to different skin tones, to different heights and features, different fashion sense, and now to different species. Branching off from the Bay movies, you can see Donatello is covered head to toe in his gear. His design is very similar to his movie counterpart, right down to the goggles, the metal bow staff, and the drone on his back. He seems to pull the most from these movies. Michelangelo notably has art spray painted onto him for both iterations, and they decided to leave Raph as the giant, sporting the tougher, full-looking bandana. You might also recognize this scene, when the Turtles are all sitting up on the Jumbotron above the wrestling match in the episode Shell in a Cell. It is the exact setup you see at the opening of Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows when they sneak into Madison Square Garden to watch a Knicks game. This might be a little obscure, but it's still worth mentioning. At the end of Mystic Mayhem, Leo suggests that their hero team should be called
Ninja Mutant Turtle Teens, or I don't know, maybe we'll keep brainstorming.
Leo's choice of words are the same as Megan Fox April's line at the beginning of the 2014 movie, when she asks if they are Ninja Mutant Turtle teenagers, in which Donatello responds, well, when you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous. But what about the other movies? The films from the good old 90s. One thing we notice is the way Michelangelo uses his new chain weapon. It has this spinny, round thingy at the end that looks like a yo-yo. Mikey sometimes uses it like one too. This isn't the first time our party dude used this technique. Remember in the opening of Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze? Parents complained that the first movie was too violent, so for the sequel, the Turtles were using weird slapstick-type weapons. And Michelangelo got to take down Foot Ninjas using a yo-yo. Funny how that worked out. Voice actors. Do the Foot Lieutenant and the Foot Brute sound familiar to you?
I'm gonna grind your bones with my fists.
Ooh, that's inspired.
You've heard this duo many times before. It's actually Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulsen, the men behind Pinky and the Brain from Animaniacs. Pretty cool, right? What's even cooler is that Rob Paulsen has been in the Ninja Turtles family from the start. He was the original voice actor for Raphael back in the 80s, and in the 2012 cartoon, he voiced Donatello. Now, Rob is working as the voice director for Rise of the TMNT, so clearly the guy knows what he's doing when it comes to Ninja Turtles. Looks like Pinky's the boss now, Brain. Also, one other voice actor in this cast is sort of a pop culture Easter egg on his own. The man who plays Baron Draxum, the Turtleverse's newest big baddie. Just play the clip.
And his name is John Cena.
Coincidentally enough, Leonardo dresses very similar to John Cena when he suits up as a wrestler in Shell in a Cell. Meanwhile, he squares off against Raph, who's looking like Kane. I don't follow wrestling, but is there some kind of foreshadowing or weird meaning to all this? Somebody start overthinking that. Oh wait, we have a whole show for overthinking things. Next time on Cartoon Conspiracy, episode titles. Moving right along, we have a couple of fun references in Rise of the TMNT's clever episode titles. Here's a simple and elegant reference. The episode War and Pizza is named after War and Peace, which is a Russian novel that embraced more than 500 characters and is set in Napoleonic Wars. Repo Mantis is also named after a novel, Repo Madness, appropriately named for an episode about puppies and Mikey and Donnie stealing a car. The Fast and the Furriest is very clearly a reference to the Fast and Furious series, especially with how most of it is a thrilling chase after Master Splinter in a tank. Another Master Splinter-centered episode is called Down with the Sickness, which is a song by Disturbed. And by the end of this episode, we're all a little disturbed too. Wow, Master Splinter really has changed. Pop culture references. And now for the lightning round. Being raised in a sewer separated from humanity, it's no surprise that the Turtles would rely so heavily on TV and movies to learn about the world above them. All iterations of the Turtles make tons of pop culture references, as they are teenagers after all. So here's a list of all the references we found so far in Rise of the TMNT. I'm sure we missed a few, so be sure to let us know in the comments if you find more. In the premiere Mystic Mayhem, we're coming in strong with an Attack on Titan reference of all things. As Donatello's weapon spirals out of hand, it rolls its way up the arm of Baron Draxum's Titanish monster and gets it in the head. Levi attacks the female Titan in a shot almost completely identical to what they used in Rise, making this a very clear homage to the popular anime. The new bad guy, Meat Sweats, is a mutant pig who used to be a man that hosted a very angry cooking show. When they turn on a clip of his show titled Condescending Kitchen, you might be reminded of the popular program Kitchen Nightmares, hosted by Gordon Ramsay, complete with Meat Sweats shouting at some poor guy about risotto. Sweats must be a loose parody of Ramsay, but with far less class. class. And finally, this one is just impossible to miss. In Repo Mantis, when Mikey and Donnie are dropped off out in the woods, they hop out of a truck at a bus stop that is no doubt a reference to the iconic My Neighbor Totoro moment in the rain. The people at the bus stop look like regular humans, but they were clever about it. Awesome! We did it! Now be sure to catch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, Frederator loves you. Cowabunga!